You're now listening to the 1130 podcast. Enjoy the show.
Yo, what it do, everybody? It's your man Dre, aka Dre on Wheels. Y'all already know what it is. Welcome back, everyone, to the 1130 podcast. What's good, everybody doing out there, man? It's Wednesday. I'm back at it. You know what time it is, man. It's not 7:30. It's 11:30. It's time for the podcast. Good morning to everyone who's listening to me on EB Radio this morning. For those who came back watching on YouTube, thank you guys so much. For everyone who's new and you're new to the podcast, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, like, leave a comment, and do all that great stuff. And don't forget to follow the 1130 podcast on all social media platforms. But you guys, like I said, man, it's Wednesday. It's time for the podcast. We're going to get into it. Got a dope guest that's joining me this week. Entrepreneur, you guys. He's a motivational speaker. And also, you guys, he's a business owner. Yes, Omari is going to be joining me here this week on the 1130 podcast. But before we do, shout out my guest who was on last week, Keith Hall. Thank you so much for coming through on the show. Speaking of the show, we ain't going to waste no more time. We're going to get into it. Omari, how's it going, my guy?
Oh man, wonderful, man, wonderful. I'm just sitting back enjoying that the introduction you guys made. So shout out to your production team because they spent some time and energy on that one. That was quality.
Man. Look at, I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot. Look at, man, I try my hardest here at the podcast a lot each and every week. So I appreciate that. Once again, I thank you for taking the invite of coming on here on the 1130 podcast. How life treating you?
Life is treating me. It has its ups and its downs. It's nothing that I'm not able to handle. Because if it was, I wouldn't be going through it. And so right now, I'm just looking in the mirror and thanking God for my blessings and my transgressions. Because all of it is a lesson. So it's just a time just to enjoy what we have and enjoy what we don't have. Because it's not time yet. So I'm doing fantastic.
I like that, my guy. I definitely like that. We're going to definitely get into everything. Seem like you're a well-rounded, well-spoken gentleman. But we ain't going to waste no more time, man. For my listeners and viewers, I always allow my guests to tell everyone about yourself. Tell everyone about yourself.
Oh, man. I mean, the grand scheme is the criminal law firm, the criminal law office I own right now. I'm a paralegal at it. The big picture is getting that bar, that JD, that Juris Doctors, so that we can go into courtrooms and do what we're doing now. The second grand scheme is the vocational school, the nonprofit. Right now, I'm a teacher at it. And some of the services we offer, vocational training, mental and emotional counseling, unlicensed. I have to put that unlicensed in there because anything we say is not protected by law. Like normally, there's a therapist and client privilege that states that anything that you guys share is protected by law and they won't have to be, give that information if they're called before court. If me and you talk about it and they call me and I don't, divulge that, then I'll be guilty of perjury and everything we're doing is flushed down the toilet. So I'd rather be preventive. I'd rather be forthcoming up front and go ahead and tell you it's unlicensed. So, it's cordial conversation like we're having now, but at the same time, we got to be accountable and move with integrity as we do what we do. And then career development for the last service we offer. Now, all this is free or pro bono. It's all community work. Just making sure that we have the end goal first. Start with the end goal and then work our way back to where we are now. And then we start taking those steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For the law office that I mentioned, the 3 things we offer: criminal justice navigation. Essentially, where are we now and how do we get out? Maybe we need to sit down for a little while and take care of this time. Because one of the biggest things people don't realize is the public defender, their job is to lose. Their job is to get you to take a plea deal so the prosecution can get that their percentages high. Excuse me. Because when their percentage is high, then they move up to district attorney, to mayor, to governor, to judge, to Congress and House of Representatives. This is how they built their careers, by prosecuting our youth and members of our community. And so we have to be more intentional with that. So where I would step in is And again, I don't have that certification yet, although I do have 2 degrees, one in forensic science and the other in criminal justice. So I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm doing. It's just I don't have that certification. Again, that same, they call it a client attorney privilege, where you step in a room with your attorney, anything you say, they by law do not have to tell anyone else that information. Me, again, if I get called before a court of law, I'm be guilty of perjury if I don't tell everything and the truth. So let's just be intentional with that. And so where I
Mm.
would step in is making sure that public defender is doing his or her job with respect to both. You know, are they, let's say, fruits of the poisonous tree doctrine is pretty much a rule that states anything attained uh, through illegal means can't be used in a court of law. So if you're pulled over and they didn't have probable cause when pulling you over, or they pulled you over and said you ran a stop sign, but within a 2 mile radius of where you are, there is no stop sign. So maybe they found some things. Maybe you said some things. They can't use that in a court of law to prosecute you because it was gained illegally. And so it's just those little fundamental things that we overlook as a community or we aren't made aware of. That's where I step in.
Okay.
Prepare, prevent, inform. That's the biggest things, the biggest mantra.
Okay.
Legal research. I know how to read statutes pretty well. Statutes are laws. Ordinances are like local rules, depending on the municipal area, like a local government. And the last thing is crime scene examination. You can paint me a picture, show me a picture based on certain pieces of evidence, and I can look at it and see if something's right or something's wrong. Like even from the chain of custody, when it comes to evidence, each time they open the evidence, let's say it's a packet with DNA in it. Well, every time it's opened, they have to make a new seal. They can't reopen seals, and it has to be dated and initialed, so they know who did what when, and it's not nothing's reopened. Well,
Mm.
if we found out that one of the seals had some adhesive that was missing, or it had been opened because it should be sealed shut, well, then now that's tampering. So now we can motion that. That's information I would give to your public defender, so they can file the correct paperwork and documentation within a reasonable amount of time. So it's just those little fundamental things.
Okay. Okay. Cool. 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 What sparked the whole pursuit of criminal justice?
My grandmother used to watch Law and Order, and in passing, it really didn't strike me as interesting until I heard like a phrase or a sentence used, and then I sat down and watched it, and I was just fascinated with the getting individual pieces of a puzzle, putting it together, and then now the reality is shown, not perspective, because perspective is emotional and subjective. But reality, I mean, that's science, data, and information. And so that's undeniable. And so I figured out that this is what I love to do and my community needs it. Because even if you look at free services given by nonprofits, they help you with civil, they help you with family, and this is law I'm pertaining to or referencing. They help you with torts, which is like minor conflicts or disputes. They help you with all these other things, but they never touch criminal justice because that's a machine and that generates too much money. So there's no way they're going to give you outside help or more help than what they deem is necessary. And that help is really counterproductive and detrimental.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're definitely right about that. And as far as in the black community and stuff, a lot of us, we don't really know so much about,
Hmm.
the criminal justice department. What are you trying to accomplish with the youth, as far as being that field?
Oh, prevention, man. Inform, prepare, prevent. Um, we're gonna get we're gonna get in situations. I mean, it's just designed that way. Now, how we react to them, that's a totally different scenario. I feel we're as a community, we're too emotional and we don't know what we're talking about. I feel this way, so it's got to be right. Well, that's naive and irresponsible. And so it's just time to get the information, or at least have a reasonable understanding of the expectation. Like for instance, probable cause is the most important part of the criminal justice system. That's the backbone, that's the spine, that's everything. If they don't have that, they can only get it from what you say when you open your mouth. And so now it's
Hmm.
just time to be quiet and stop talking so much. To understand and be intentional with what we say, and understand that people are not out here to be your friends and that they don't care about you. Still treat them with love and respect because that's just the God inside of you. Well, at the same time, man, it's naive and delusional to have a conversation with this person like you guys are comrades. Like, they need you to do your job. Your job is to write tickets. And I'm speaking to officers here, respectfully. Your job is to write tickets. Your job is to feed the system itself and to a certain extent, protect community and most importantly, property. So when you pull me over, I need you to keep it scientific. What's your probable cause? It's always my first question. Do you know I
Yeah.
pulled you over? Well, before we even get there, what's your probable cause? Is it reasonable suspicion, which is imagination? You think something's going on. Reasonable suspicion is not enough to do anything with, except maybe follow somebody for a block or two to see if they give you probable cause. Then they flick those lights on and pull you over. So it's just little minute things along that line. Staying focused, staying intentional, and staying prepared, because it's inevitable.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. What can we do as as far as the black community,
Mm,
do as to stay informed, to be educated and not miseducated on laws such as like probable cause, everything far
yeah,
as when you just in a car, because we all know we've seen over a couple of years or just over decades where
yeah,
the black man always getting pulled over, and
absolutely.
the police is always coming up with something. They, oh yeah, you got
Yeah,
your headlight out. Oh, my
yep,
headlight is fixed. I just got it fixed. So it's like, what can we do to stay educated? Because like you said, a lot of us don't know to keep our mouth closed because we always we be so nervous.
yeah. And I think that's where the mental and emotional health comes in, and that's the nonprofit I work with. I
Okay.
think when we start being more intentional with acknowledging some of our issues and trauma and insecurities, from there we'll have a deeper understanding of self and have that more self control and that more discipline, to where now we're not reacting emotionally. We're taking our time to answer. Even if you ask them to repeat what they said, so you have time to think. If you need that extra 5, 10 seconds, take it. You're not in a rush to talk to somebody. So I think the biggest thing is addressing mental and emotional health. Even if you write it down on a piece of paper, whatever the issue is, at least acknowledge it. Because our community, I'm seeing, we put band-aids on snake bites and pray it goes away. And that's unrealistic. That's unrealistic and extremely irresponsible, because it's corroding and destroying us on a molecular level underneath the surface, to where now it's getting passed down to our kids. So now it's just time to address those things, be intentional, know you're going to be pulled over. And you don't have to be an expert, because I'm not an expert. There's plenty I don't know. But at the same time, I've made it my business, and I've been intentional to know the fundamentals, to know the basics, and then from there just build on it. So turn off the NBA highlights, turn off the NFL highlights, at least for 20, 30 minutes. And then pick up maybe a local ordinance book, pick up a statute book. Actually, you can go on YouTube and look up what is probable cause. And there's hundreds and hundreds of videos that at least breaks it down to where you can get a better understanding of the inevitable.
I like that. I like that. And why is that? Why is that? You said we put a band-aid on a snake bite.
It feels better. Well, we've been taught to be more emotional than logical. And so it feels good to not address my problems, because then when I address it, now I'm having flashbacks on that trauma. Now I'm having flashbacks on that insecurity. Now the facade that I want to portray to society, I'm really not that. And now I have to get back to my fundamentals, and maybe I skipped some steps, but now I got to go 20 years back to fix those, and then I'm behind when I really don't want to. I don't want to make myself vulnerable. I just want to keep doing what I'm doing, keep going through the motions, and hopefully something good comes out of it. And more times than not, all we're doing is just going in circles and passing on behaviors we don't want to the next generation, inadvertently.
I like that, man. Excuse me. I definitely like that. I like that. That was well said, because we as black people, we do cover up stuff and just don't want to talk about it. And I had numerous of guests where I had Brandy J. Flynn on, or Keith Hall, just numerous people who were mental health specialists to come on just to talk to, because whatever we're going through right now is, you need to talk about it, because it's gonna come out one way or another or such. So how can we get that help?
The biggest thing I would do is help yourself. Go look in the mirror, or even on a piece of paper, and write down my problems are, or you can write down, I get upset when people, or this is the trauma I faced, or it's whatever it is. Start somewhere. The worst thing we do is we never start. We think we have to be in this professional office with someone with that clock in the back ticking, and they ask you, how do you feel? How does that make you feel? Well, yeah, that's a part of it. That's like step 8. Step 1 and step 0 is you acknowledging what it is internally by yourself. Because if you only feel helped and feel guided and assisted when you're with another person, you only see that person maybe once a week. So what, the other 6 days and what, like 23 hours, what, you're struggling, you're suffering? And so I feel like that's counterproductive. Help yourself first, and then allow other people to assist you in your journey of helping yourself. Because in the end, you alone anyway.
Hmm. What are some other ways, though? You said step 0 and 1. What are
Um,
some
step
other ways?
zero, step zero, I will write down a purpose. What is my purpose? What is my plan? What is my goal? What do I want to achieve? And what are my skills? Whatever your hobbies are, whatever you love to do outside of sports and video games. I feel like our community depends too much on that. It's not an issue that you like to do it. The issue is that we depend on it with no contingency plan, no extra plan, no plan 4, 5, 6, and 7. We depend on that, and that's it. Then when that doesn't work, we move to a faster lifestyle that's portrayed in the media as glorified in the media as cool and productive. So first thing, what are your hobbies? Other than sports and video games, what do you love to do? Okay, find a way to monetize that. Maybe get you an LLC or something like that. Because when you have purpose, you won't fall for the nonsense. You
Mm.
won't fall for the bull. You just won't go for it because nah, man, I have goals and aspirations. I'm doing something, man. I already worked with my state. I got the LLC coming. I'm about to get that tax information organized. So I'm cool in the club this Friday, man. 'Cause what I really need to do is study how to get my intellectual property copyrighted, and that's just a different context of it, different conversation. And you'll find when you start talking about those things, you'll people will start straying away from you because that's not what they own. They're not on that energy. And so what
Mhm.
you'll find is you will attract people who are on. And so you'll look up and say, wow, I thought so and so and so and so and so and so. I thought, we was gonna be, brothers for a while. I thought we was gonna push and get this money together. Come to find out they don't want to put that work in. And they don't want to take the discipline and the time that it takes to invest in self. They just want to cater to emotions and perpetuate the cycle. And that's just not the answer. Second thing I would do is go look in the mirror by yourself. Close the door, turn your phone off, go look in the mirror and stare at yourself. You can start 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 5 minutes. Me, I like to go about five to 20 minutes, just depending on how much time I have, and have those little conversations. Now, I'm not saying argue with yourself like Smeagol off Lord of the Rings, because that's a totally different level of dialogue, and that might need some extra help. But
Mm.
this one, just, how you feeling today? Kind of like the conversations we had in the beginning. How you feeling today, man? I noticed you got upset when that happened. Why? Well, I got upset because I allowed myself to. And it's those little consistent thoughts. You'll see some things. And it's gonna be traumatic. You're gonna have some flashbacks, some memories. You're gonna be upset with what you see at first. But then as you acknowledge it, address it, and write it down on paper, um, you'll start to progress. And when you write it down, don't write it down as I, me, or your name. Write it down like third person, like him, her, that person. Don't write it down as I and me because then it's biased and subjective. Because now it's something at stake. You need to write it down like it's not you, like it's the person across the room from you, like how they would write it about you. And start with those fundamental things. More compliments. So I'll sum it up. Compliments to yourself. Look in the mirror. Have a conversation every day, at least 5 minutes. Write down goals and aspirations on a piece of paper. How can we monetize our hobbies and skills? And then 3, we need to write down what you're going through. If you got upset today, why? If you're extremely happy, why? And always find that 0. If you're plus 50 today, that's great. Get back to 0 and write down how you did it. If you're negative 120,000, that's great. Get back to 0 and write down how. And pretty soon you'll reprogram yourself and teach yourself your skills necessary. So when you go to that therapist, to that mental health specialist, they can really help you instead of you burning your money up, getting to where you should be. You're already there. So now you can really take that next step.
Mm. Mm. I like that, man. Good words, man. Good words. How did you find? Was it just Law and Order though? But how did you find your purpose?
Um, my purpose, I think it's always been within me. I just did my best to ignore it, to justify why I shouldn't take that leadership, that initiative, um, and I had to just go through trauma. Like one of the greatest things I ever did was go to Langston. Shout out to my HBCU. Because one thing about our people in our community that I love, whatever you are, whoever you are, you're gonna find out immediately. Because you know it's gonna be conflict. You know, even if you don't want conflict, it's gonna come your way. So whatever you are, you're gonna find out being at Langston or being at any HBCU or being at any place in our community when it's predominantly African Americans, you're gonna find out who you are. So one thing about Langston that I loved was it brought whatever was in me, it brought out. It brought out the best in me and the worst in me. And I acknowledged it, went through the same steps that I was doing now. So when I transferred and went to UCO, because Langston didn't have what I needed from a forensic science and criminal justice standpoint, it's decent. I need better because the only way I can help my community is by getting the best and then coming back. So I left and I transferred. And the ironic thing about UCO is, which is predominantly Caucasian, they wanted to stuff everything back in that Langston brought out. And so that was the conflict that I faced there was they only wanted me for my skills, for my intellectual prowess. They only wanted me for my work. They didn't want me for my personality. They didn't want me for my confidence. They didn't like the way that I dressed and walked because I exuded excellence and I knew I did. And so that was the battle that I faced. And it was a beautiful thing. And so it was forced out at Langston. And then I had to force it. I had to force it, keep it from being forced back in at UCO. And so that was the battle that I faced them both.
All right, man. Look at it. You had to face a whole lot, and come out on the other end as a smart, intelligent man. I definitely dig it. I definitely
I appreciate you.
No problem, man. No problem. Did you ever wanted to be a detective or anything like that?
I do. I do and did. It's
Okay.
The only thing is, unless I'm doing it privately, I mean, I'm working for that same system that takes advantage. So there's a reason that I will be able to have a job. Even if I did probation work for a little while. And my intention with the probation office just didn't align with the intention. And so I found that out fairly quickly. I would do it privately. Working for the system itself, that's something the opportunity would have to be right. And that's something I would really need to pray on. I'm 99% no, though. I'm 99% no.
Okay, that's cool, man. That's cool. I definitely just thought I'd ask you, man, because real intelligent guy. I definitely dig it. You guys, man, we will move on here on the podcast. You're the owner of an entertainment company, right?
Oh yeah. That's how I'm funding everything.
Okay.
The Past First Entertainment, films, books, music is the foundation. And really what I'm doing, the ironic thing about it is everything the nonprofit is doing, the vocational training, mental health counseling, career development, and everything from the law office, the criminal justice navigation, the legal research, the crime scene examination. I'm hiding it and distributing it within the entertainment company's content. I'm learning our people don't want to be taught unless you can entertain them. So I'm doing both at the same time. And it's a manipulation. I'll call it what it is. I'm manipulating the community because everything I'm saying now, I'm just putting it over a beat that's bumping. And so now they take it a little differently versus me on a podium in a suit and tie and giving a lecture, or me putting it within a book. I can just give it over a beat that's bumping, or I can put it within a board game and hide some of those nuances in there. And so that's really that's how I'm hiding it. The entertainment company is everything I'm doing just hidden within the music, or hidden within the board game, or hidden within the film. I just have to hide what I'm doing because people don't want it any other way. Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, my guy. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But you guys, man, we having fun here on the 1130 podcast, chopping it up with my guy Omari here this week on the 1130 podcast. But we're gonna still have some fun. We got the hot seat coming up, you guys. We're gonna take a quick commercial break, and like I said, we got more coming up right after this. You're listening, you're watching to the 1130 podcast. You dig? Don't go nowhere.
$8 million hands sanitized. 1 million faces protected. 400,000 rail cars disinfected. We're humming right along, keeping you safe when you ride Metro.
Yo, what up? This your boy Kenneth Stones, aka Coffee Weaston.
This your boy DOE, Good Brother Bowl.
And we are the Dirty Hills. You already know, man, you tuning in to 11:30 podcast. Not 7:30, but 11:30.
Dude, that's my job. Not 7:30, but 11:30.
Yeah. And you have been Dirty Hills approved.
Yo, you guys, we back here on the 11:30 podcast. Appreciate everyone sticking with me throughout the short break. Have an amazing guest, entrepreneur, business owner, and podcaster, Omari here, chopping it up with me, having some fun, talking about criminal justice, everything, man. Everything within the black community. Like I was saying before the break, Omari, man, dope vibe with you. What keeps you inspired, man? What inspires you?
Oh man, the Black Excellence Gallery. And you guys can check that out at omariaa.com. And when you see it, you're going to see my spirit. You're going to see my purpose. You're going to see my intention. You're going to see what I'm willing to die for. And it makes me smile, man. That Black Excellence Gallery is essentially, I designed it for my kids because I would look for things for us to watch as a family. And I go to the black cinema or the African-American genre. And the main thing I would see is like adultery, dysfunction, betrayal, violence, crime, drugs, deceit. And I wouldn't see the family cohesion. I wouldn't see the generational stories of upliftment and ambition and love and prosperity. And so I just decided to build it myself. So before I can get to the films, I started with that. So essentially I go through the internet and find pictures of us, inspiring pictures of us, and I compile it into one area. So as you scroll and scroll, it'll make you smile because you'll see. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was definitely checking that out. Checking that out. That's really dope. You said omariaa.com, right?
That's right.
All right. For everyone who's listening, man, definitely check out the Black Excellence Gallery at omariaa.com, man. For real. You also said you're a father, right?
I am.
All right, man. I'm a soon-to-be dad. This
congratulations.
coming. Thank you. This coming August, man. Any tips or advice, man? Being a wonderful black dad.
Oh, preparation. Have the diapers ready. Have the wipes ready. Have that cream ready. Have those. If she's breastfeeding, help her out because that's a whole different process. Make sure those bottles are washed. If she is. If she isn't, then have that formula already. Get a container to where you can have it pre-measured. So all you gotta do is turn it and then dump it out. So that way it's simple. Have that water gallon next to it. Have you a separate trash bag for the diapers. Stock up on canned milk if that's what you're doing. Stock up on that. Get about 3 or 4 of them. Now they're gonna hit you for about 50 to 70 depending on what you're getting. So go ahead and get that in the budget. And other than that, man, just be there. That's the biggest thing I'm learning is just be there.
Okay. Cool, man. I dig that. I definitely dig that, man. You have a podcast, man. Tell everyone about it.
The Specificity Podcast. Essentially, what we do is take some of the pivotal issues in our community and we address them. I feel like we have a lot of outside communities that address it and take a narrative on it, but they have nothing to lose. And so I don't like that. If we're gonna have our issues addressed, it needs to be from us internally because we have everything at stake. To them, they say what they say. It's over. They go to sleep, and they're not affected by it. But when we address it, we have everything at stake, and so we would be a little biased on it. At the same time, be open to conversations with outside communities. I feel like we need to control the narrative. So, for instance, some of the issues we addressed were like gender roles, and we broke it down to a science. To where XY chromosome, XX chromosome. Socially, it's fine what you want to be socially. I'm thinking about our children and making sure we're not causing our children to be delusional. And I even broke it down to we're mammals on a scientific level. So what do we have in common with other mammals? What is a raccoon XY chromosome and a raccoon XX chromosome, and go across the board, and we just break that down to the internal and external strength of both, to their scientific function on an anatomical level. And so little things like that. to make
Okay.
sure that the youth at least have some type of concrete, sound information that's not politically geared, that's not left or right, and all this other adjectives focused, and there's no agenda other than the reality.
Okay.
Another one we addressed was if we could get anything from a president, what would we want? And the two main things I focused on was to have trade classes back in our high schools to reindustrialize it. Like instead of having geometry and physics in the high school course, instead have brick mason or electrician or fundamentals of electricity. Those
Yeah.
little those little things that really help somebody take care of themselves and their family. And the hate crime bill, I feel like that's something that's should have been established. And essentially, the hate crime bill is if a crime is racially motivated, it, then there is a harsher penalty and harsher sentence for it. Like for
Hmm.
instance, when somebody's running away and they get shot in the back 8 times. Well, in the criminal justice system, you meet force with force. If it's deadly force, you meet it with deadly force. Non-violent, non-violent. Violent, violent. So whatever is appropriate for that moment, that's what you meet it with. If someone has a knife, but that's deadly force, then that gun is appropriate. If somebody has fists or bat, but that's violent force, you meet that with a baton or hand-to-hand combat or a taser. And so whatever it is, you meet it with the appropriate level. And if you don't meet it with the appropriate level, well, then that's something that's preconceived. So now you're going off the notion of race. You're going off the notion of um, who you think them to be rather than the probable cause, which we talked about, or the reasonable suspicion at hand. And so then they would get penalized on a harsher level. And so just
Okay.
those two, just little things along that line that we talk about.
Okay. Definitely. 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 We got a little bit more extra time though. Can you touch on the
Okay.
part where you said you touch on gender roles?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I even looked at it this way. I said the raccoon already. I said like a skunk. When it comes to a female skunk versus a male skunk, what are some differences? Well, typically, the male will be a little bit bigger, and it'd be more of the enforcer and protector because the woman would have been carrying offspring, and so we look at it from that level. You know, women are way, in my opinion, women need to be put on a pedestal. We aren't even. We aren't equal. If I had a village of 100 men and one woman, that's only one child. But one man and 100 women, that's 100 children. And so we need to make sure we keep that in reality. And it's just dealing with the realities of the situation. You know, understanding what we're built to do, and understanding that you can be anything you want to be. That's fine. It's just making sure we keep the science and we keep the anatomy and keep that perspective. No, not the perspective. Keep that reality in mind when we go through society and say things we say and do things we do. So it's really geared toward the youth going through puberty, geared toward our 25, 26, getting out of college. It's just making sure they have some stable, some consistent information that's not geared toward their dysfunction and their regression.
Okay, okay. I can definitely dig that, man. Definitely dig that because it's 2022 and the world is definitely different now. And
Yeah.
so we need more educated people out here, such as yourself, man, to inform other black youth, the kids,
Yeah.
man, all such, man, for real. But you guys, man, we're gonna move on here on the podcast, you guys, man. It's time, you guys, for the 11:30 podcast hot seat.
Oh yeah.
All right, all right. It's time for the hot seat. Omari, I got 6 questions for you, and
All
we're going
right.
to roll with it. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, all right, all right. How would you want to be remembered?
As a man of the community, as a man that the content and entertainment he puts out is the way he lives. Like there's no disconnect from the shirts and the apparel I put out to the books and the film and the music I put out to how I live my life behind closed doors. It's a correlation. There's no gaps. There's no weak links. I even made this quote for myself. Every step I take toward my death is another step toward my success. And so I step. And so I'm gonna say it again slower because I know a lot of people might be baffled by it. Every step I take toward my death is another step toward my success. And so I step.
Okay, all right. If you can go back 5 years, what would you
Mhm.
change about your future?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Because imagine, I am where I'm supposed to be. So imagine if I go against God's plan and manipulate something. I come forward and it could be all kind of detrimental effects. Maybe my kids aren't as healthy, or maybe I'm not as well rounded as I am, or I'm not be as skilled as I am. Maybe I missed that class that might have helped me, or maybe I didn't come in contact with that person that maybe triggered some thoughts, and so I wouldn't change anything ever.
Okay. Okay. I dig that. I dig that. What do you wish? What do you wish? Where do you wish to travel and why?
Oh man, if I could go anywhere right now, south side of Chicago.
South side of Chicago.
South side of Chicago, man. That's my city.
Okay.
Um, and I would take I would take the law office. I would take the vocational school, and I would go there and make that a home base. Kind of like I would make a girls and boys club slash YMCA slash like basketball league slash STEM, like STEM foundation, and combined it all into one. So yeah, they get the entertainment of the basketball and the sports, but at the same time we spend it on the STEM. And the same time they're getting this food. And the same time we can have some curriculum and members of the community, like maybe a teacher from a local, like I think Chicago University is right there. So I'm sure they have some African American teachers in there that we can bring in, and that's one of the most prestigious universities in the world. So imagine if you, as a 8 to 15, 17-year old, and all you see is this, all you hear is this, all you're known as is this, and then you walk in and see somebody who looks like you, speaking a certain way, can still talk your language, but then can teach you about, uh, maybe some technology, some engineering, and breaking it down to where you can understand it. Bring in maybe a mayor, governor, or some type of a political figure that can kind of help them understand the unseen world a lot easier than they're seeing now. Because right now there's a world that we don't see. There's so many stoplights, and each lane on the highway is so big because it was written. There's a certain rule that was enacted and signed legislatively, and so I help them understand that. And so that's what the biggest thing I would do. I can get a car for 500,000, or I can set up that building that I just spoke of and fund them for 10, 15, 25 years, depending on how we allocate the resources. And that's something I can do instead. So the $500,000 car that looks great, feels great, I can put it on social media, or leave that alone and do something different on a generational level. So it's just about intention.
Okay. 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 All right. What are some challenges the next generation will face?
Reality, embracing reality. People want to manipulate you and tell you this and that and that and this, and you won't be grounded. Like even when it comes to our relationships, the mindset of the modern woman that I'm seeing that's most consistent is the strong, independent woman that does for herself, but wants a modern man, while at the same time wants him to be more subservient. And so you can't have it both ways. And then the modern man wants a traditional woman, but wants her to present herself as a certain way that's not traditional. And so we have to find, what do you want? In reality, they don't know. And so it's time to strip away all um, the hair, the nails, the jewelry, the cars, the fans, the fashion. Strip all that away. What are you left with? And then from there, now we're stable. Now we move somewhere. Take all that stuff off, that social status, and that's all that is a lack of self-esteem and distractions. Take that stuff away, and then what are we left with? Now from here, now we're stable. Now what do you want?
Okay. Okay. Definitely. Definitely. How do you stay motivated on a daily basis?
Black Excellence Gallery.
Okay.
And looking at my kids when they sleep, and reminding myself that they depend on me, and every decision I make affects them directly. So if I make this song and it's great, they benefit from that. If I make this song and it's terrible, they benefit from it. But the biggest thing I need to do is make sure that I love everything I do. And if it succeeds, that's fantastic. If it doesn't succeed, that's fantastic. Because the information and the intent and the content is still there. So regardless, I'm successful in my eyes. And that's the only thing I really need.
Hmm. Okay, I got you. All right. What are some things people misunderstood about you?
Misunderstood. If I could say anything, maybe my intention. Um, it's not common for me to have the skills that I have, the talent that I have and not charge. I don't charge for any service I do. For the my biggest two intentions is the vocational nonprofit and the criminal law office, and those two things I don't charge anybody a dime, a penny. It's all free. It's all pro bono
Okay.
because my goal is to inform, and my goal is to teach. My goal is to prevent. And so maybe people are taken back by the way I present myself, the way I speak, the way I dress, the way I walk. When I walk in the room, it's a little weird, and that's okay because it's something they haven't seen before, and I like that. Um, and I mean, just leading by example, because by example I lead. So just making sure I stay grounded and do the same steps that we talked about in mental health. Do that all the time. Stay consistent with that. And when I do get down and think of my kids, when I do get down, look at that Black Excellence Gallery because it always shifts me back exactly where I need to be. Maybe I have some thoughts of insecurity and self esteem. I'm not doing this, and I'll think about my kids, and yeah, that helped. That helped a lot. It's still this little lingering Black Excellence Gallery, and it's gone. I scroll through it. I smile in my spirit, and that lets me know I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Let me get I have a film and a soundtrack and a book coming out, so I want to spit a little verse for the people, and
Okay. All right.
I
All
hope they
right.
enjoy it.
Okay. All right.
Let me know when
Cool.
you're ready.
Cool. Cool. All right. I'm ready.
Here we go. It's called Why I Do It. It's called Why I Do It. It's a lot of people that say a lot of things, that do a lot of things, but I will ask them why I do it. But before I have them answer, I would ask myself and hold myself accountable first. Why I do it? I do it for the kid who has little hope because their parents stay strung out on that dope smoke. I do it for the kids who can't wash their clothes, so they wash their drawers in the sink with the bar of soap. I do it for the kids who have great grades, but can't focus in class, their friends buried in the grave. I do it to lead my people by example, displaying positive acts that carry on and travel. We need hope, someone who knows what to do, acts of integrity that will carry through, change the way we think, act, pray, and move, while taking time to prove what we do helps us improve instead of doing what they show on the news and on the tube that paints a perspective of who deserves to lose their life and who decides who goes free. I do it for the kids who have little hope because their parents stay strung out on that dope smoke. I do it for the kids who can't wash their clothes, so they wash their drawers in the sink with the bar of soap. I do it for the kids who have great grades, but can't focus in class, their friends buried in a grave. I do it to lead my people by example, displaying positive acts that carry on and travel. Why I do it.
Hey, man, I dig it. I dig that. I dig that, man. For real. I appreciate that. For real. Thank you. Thank you, man. For real. What inspired you to write that?
Going through life and seeing people do, you know, saying things, doing things, representing certain brands, wearing certain brands, and but claiming that my community, my people. And so I asked them, why do you do what you're doing? But one thing about me, before I ask anybody else, I always ask myself. And so I asked myself, and that's what came out.
Hmm. Okay, man. I definitely dig that. I definitely dig that here, man, on the podcast. But you guys, man, we gonna move on, man. It's time for the WTF moment of the week, you guys. That was awesome. That was real awesome. Okay, you guys. WTF moment of the week. I'm already each and every week. I always share a WTF moment, whether it's something you heard, seen, saw, whatever the case may be. I allow my guests to go first. You have a WTF moment of the week you would like to share?
Um, I came across a video on social media, and a man was attempting to see his son, and he asked his baby's mother, and she insisted on no, and he asked her why, and she said because I'm petty and because I'm spiteful, and I kind of when I see stuff like that, I get out of social media. I just pull myself out, and I really thought to myself like, how many of us are going through something similar, where we're in a situation that we knew we probably shouldn't have been in, but reality is we're here, and this is what I'm forced to deal with. And so it just triggered a lot of thoughts and um, want us to be more intentional with relationships. Before we even had that conversation on when we go out and do something or go to the movies or go eat, I would ask, what's your intention with this relationship? Are we just kicking it? Are we having sexual relations on a consistent basis? Are we thinking about making each other exclusive or getting married so we can do something different in our family tree? Just having that more intentional conversation from the jump before emotions and before we go too far, if you understand. So that's just something that stuck out to me.
Yeah, a lot of brothers and a lot of people go through that situation where they trying to see their kids or whatnot, but it's really not working out for the best in the
Yeah.
situation because of the baby mama and stuff. But yeah, WTF, man, WTF all the way. But you guys, man, my WTF moment, you guys, man, I had a totally different WTF moment. I scratched that, and a couple of days ago, I got a video chat from my little brother. And I got a video chat, and it's like 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, man, like what's going on? What's going on? And for everybody who followed the 1130 podcast or watched the 1130 podcast from the beginning or so, and my brother, my brother from another mother, my brother passed away, and that was rough. That was rough. He the reason why I got into podcasting, and I'ma miss him.
How you feeling now? Present sense.
Feel okay.
Yeah.
Feel okay. Yeah, man. Yeah, that was something else, because I just talked to him a couple of weeks ago, and he just being the person he's gonna be, and no one perfect, no one is perfect, but he was him, and we had created a whole lot of great moments. So I just know, it's going up from here, man. Isaac, man, it's going up from here. So just want you to know that. Okay. All right. Enough of the sad stuff. All right. Omari, man, I appreciate you joining me this week here on the 1130 podcast. For real. Let's go. Before you go, any shout out, any questions, anything you want to say?
I feel like I said everything. I could reiterate. I could reemphasize. Just keep doing what you're doing. It's hard thing I would tell everybody. It's gonna get harder. It's gonna get easier. Just keep doing what you're doing and have that end goal in mind. And whatever decision you make, you got to stand on it by yourself. Because in the end, we alone.
Yeah, right, man. Right about that. Yo, man, it's been another dope show here. Wednesday on the 1130 podcast, for real. Omari, man, sit tight. We're going to chop it up in just a bit after the show. But I thank everyone. All right, enough of the sad stuff. But yeah, man, I had to get that out. I thank everyone for tuning in this week here on the 1130 podcast. Dope episode, man, for real. But before I go, you know what time it is, man. Don't forget to follow the 1130 podcast on all social media platforms. Follow me on Twitter at the 1130 podcast. Like the 1130 podcast on Facebook and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Subscribe to the 1130 podcast on YouTube. And also the 1130 podcast, Talk Pro Wrestling, all new episode streaming this Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as the commission, my guys Juan Marlowe and Blackheart, along with the returning guests from last week, my guy Gator Live, will be chopping it up this Friday, man, on commission. So make sure you definitely tune in, man, for real. I think that's it. I don't want to keep taking you guys' time and rambling on, but this was definitely a dope vibe. But before we head on out of here, Omari, you want to drop a social media where my listeners and viewers can find you at?
The website, www.omariaa.com, www.omariaa.com. aa.com. Everything's there.
Okay, everything's there, you guys. Everything's there. All the links will be down and below. Appreciate everyone joining me this week on EB Radio and YouTube. Yo, man, this was a dope one, man, for real. Everyone, man, stay blessed, stay safe, man. Give all the glory to God, man. Won't he do it? Yo, from myself, from Omari, it's your man Dre, a.k.a. Dre on Wheels, and I'm out.
I'm from the city, DC, that's where I'm from. 1130 podcast, Dre on Wheels, he is the one. Let's get it, yeah. Who with me? Let's get it, yeah. Who with me? Yeah. I'm from the city, DC, that's where I'm from. Let's get it. 1130 podcast, Dre on Wheels, he is the one. He the one, nigga. So let's breeze, baby. He the one. Who with me? So yeah. Breeze, baby. Let's get it. You with me? Yeah, they gon' hate, but they ain't stopping this. I'ma keep making hits. Dre and Wheels, you know it ain't no copying. Was you sitting there on the carpet with us? Yeah, we knew we had some options. We blessed, we ain't got no problem. Speak something